emergency and how people are unaware about their function or use. And it's kind of an important deal because they're relying on those things to go off in an emergency situation, and oftentimes that's not the case. So why do we want to do this? Because we want to try to avoid this scenario right here by educating our clients so they know what they can depend on, what the equipment they have. And that's going to save lives. So the two basic kinds that are found in most homes are going to be the ionization kind versus the photoelectric kind. And they both have their pros, or let me put it in a better light, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. And again, this is driven by economics. And of course, the ionization ones typically are less expensive, so people tend to buy them, but they have their limits. So tonight we're going to very quickly look at a in-depth look at the statistics behind these smoke detectors. We're going to compare them. We're going to talk about their performance, their failure rates, and the fatal fires that might be caused as a result. We're going to discuss the real differences in smoke alarms and how they affect lives and property. We're going to talk about over 100 fire deaths per year due to the faulty or slow response to smoke detectors and fires. This is not a new problem. It's been around for a long time. As home inspectors, we're in a unique position to play a major part in the prevention of these fires by educating our clients. At the very least, we can make our clients aware of the problem and let them make an informed decision. So the data from this presentation, by the way, this is a 2-hour presentation boiled down to about 15 minutes. But this is where the information comes from. National Institute of Standards and Testing, NFPA, Consumer Product Safety Commission, FEMA, United Laboratories, and on and on. So when it comes to fires, the U.S. is a third world country. New York City Fire Department responds to more calls per year than all of the country of Japan. Fire deaths per million population. Switzerland, 2.0. Singapore, 2.3. Sweden, 6.9. United States, 12.3. It's crazy. Number of households in the U.S., as you can see, as the years have gone by, the number of households has grown substantially from 1960 on to today. Number of households in the U.S. with smoke detectors, again, back 50 years ago, there weren't a lot of them. Today, 96% of the houses have smoke detectors, mostly because it's mandatory to have them put in now. Number of households in the U.S. with ionization smoke alarms, approximately 90 and 95%, which is equivalent to about 100 to 105 million homes. Ionization kind. In 2015, 2017, 50 million smoke detectors were installed in buildings in a 2-year period. The result, fire loss and the death rate went up. Nationally, the percentage of people dying when the smoke detector works, but that goes off too late, is about 40%. That is a very high number, folks. Let's talk a little bit about the history. Where they start, when they start, how they start. We're talking about fires now, and the end result. Most fires in a house are going to start with cooking in the kitchen. Kitchen fires account for about 43% of fires, which relates to 16% of people dying as a result, 39% being injured as a result. Living room, family room, den, bedroom fires account for 49% of deaths, mostly because they happen in the evening while people are sleeping. Roughly 20% of deathly fires started in upholstered furniture. In other words, smoldering fires, where there is no visible flame, but there is a fire occurring. Can often be overlooked. Smoldering fires and smokers. Smokers, these are people that smoke cigarettes. Smokers are not the kind you use in the backyard. Smokers are 3 times more likely to die from fire. Due to smokers' proximity to the fire, they are less likely to set off the smoke alarm. In smoking fires, 25% of victims were not the smoker. 34% were other victims, such as children. 25% were neighbors from adjacent units or friends. Smoking is the #2 leading cause of fatal fires. 1984, codes required one alarm per level, one smoke detector per level. 1985, the sensitivity level of that one alarm was lowered to reduce nuisance tripping. 88 to 89, the NFPA required smoke alarms in bedrooms and interconnected in new construction. In other words, if one went off, they all went off, whatever location they're at. 1999, NFPA requires smoke alarm replacement after 10 years. 2009, homes with at least one smoke alarm, 95%. That's a high number. That's good protection, you'd think, right? Not so much. So what's the difference between an alarm and a detector? Smoke detectors, a sensor only connected to a central system with separate annunciator or horn. So smoke detectors are typically found in multi-unit buildings with a centrally located alarm system. Smoke alarms, on the other hand, is a single station, sensor and annunciator or horn in a single package, which is more than likely what you would find in a single family home. So knowing the proper technology is kind of important to make you look more professional. In residential construction, the two smoke sensor types found are, of course, ionization and photoelectric, also known as optical sensor. These are the most prevalent alarm sensor types in U.S. homes. Uses a small amount of radioactive material to charge particles in the air, disrupt current flow, and set off the alarm. Detect small particle size as well, 0.3 microns or smaller. Ionization smoke alarms use a small amount of radioactive material that ionizes the air between two electrically charged plates, causing a current to flow between the plates. When smoke enters the chamber, it changes the flow of current, which is detected and activates the alarm. Advantages of ionization: cheaper than other types of smoke alarms. You can pick them up for $10 at Home Depot. Very good with fast flaming fires with little visible smoke. Best at detecting small, fast-moving smoke particles. Suitable for general use. Ionization detectors cover a wide range of different kinds of fire scenarios. Less prone to false alarms due to dust and steam. The disadvantages of ionization: very susceptible to nuisance alarms due to cooking, which causes people to disconnect them. May be slow to respond to slow, smoldering fires. Poor at detecting large, slow-moving particles. Contains radioactive material. I don't think that's a big deal, though. The photoelectric smoke alarm, or the optical, operate on the principle of light scattered from the surface of smoke particles. Smoke entering the sensing chamber reflects light onto the sensor, which triggers the alarm. Large particles have much more surface area than small particles. This type of alarm is more sensitive to smoldering fires. Advantages of photoelectric: good for smoldering fires and dense smoke. Not as prone to cooking nuisance alarms. Detects larger smoke particles. Contains no radioactive material. Suitable for general use. Disadvantages: prone to nuisance alarms from dust and insects. They must be cleaned periodically, which nobody ever does. And they're more expensive, substantially more expensive, actually. So almost 2/3 of all residential fires occur in homes with either no alarm or a non-functional alarm. Homes with no alarms represent about 4% of the marketplace, or the housing stock, rather. Homes where a non-functional alarm is installed but fire deaths occur equals 96%. Why? Wrong type of alarm, or it's been disconnected because it's a nuisance alarm. 50% of households surveyed had either no alarm or non-functional alarms. That's a high number. Those households account for 2/3 of the fire deaths. Reason for disabling: they all cited nuisance trips as the reason for disconnecting or removing. So what's changed? The use of modern engineered wood and synthetic materials have reduced escape times. Engineered wood framing burns to a structural failure significantly faster than dimensional lumber and natural materials. The time from ignition to flashover has fallen significantly due to modern synthetic and composite wood materials. We're talking furniture here, folks. 2 rooms were ignited by placing a lit candle on the right side of the sofa. The fires were allowed to grow until flashover. The natural materials room flashed in 29 minutes, 30 seconds. The synthetic composite room flashed in just 3 minutes, 30 seconds. There's a big difference. We're talking escape time. From the time you realize there's a fire to the time you reach the door to get out of the house. The National Institute of Standards and Technology compared escape times from house fires before and after the increase of synthetic materials in home furnishings. Escape times in 1975 averaged 17 minutes. Escape times in 2015 averaged 3 minutes. Again, a lot of furniture is getting away from natural materials and using synthetic materials. Where do smoke detectors go? Every floor and sleeping room, all interconnected. And if it's a single-story home, right there. Where not to put them? Within 4 inches of the ceiling, because that's a void area where the smoke detector will not be set off by the smoke. So it has to be below that 4 inches, either on the ceiling or on a wall, but not up in the corner. Smoldering items are detected quicker by optical sensors, photoelectric in other words. Flames are detected quicker by ion sensors. If you only have one type, make it optical. That's the more expensive one, unfortunately. If you could have both or a combination, that's the best way to go. Most people are ignorant of that, however. They just buy the cheapest one. And the vast majority of the homes out there have ionization type, and that's really not the kind to have. They think they're being protected when they're not. Florida Building Code says that on 1 January 2015, this goes beyond the state of Florida too, by the way. The following goes into effect. All battery-powered smoke alarms that are newly installed or replacing existing must be powered by a non-removable, non-replaceable battery that will last at least 10 years. We're talking about the lithium batteries here. I'm sure you're all aware of those. Florida Building Code also only requires homeowners to make the switch when replacing outdated or non-working alarms or installing new ones. It also says that 1 and 2 family homes and townhomes undergoing repairs or alterations may use the sealed battery alarms in lieu of retrofitting with smoke alarms hardwired into the electrical system. I'm quoting this from the Florida Building Code, but this comes from the International Code Council, which is a much larger coverage of the country. In other words, you can skip the hardwired and just use the long-lasting lithium. That's considered okay. Any questions? I know that was a quickie, but a lot of good information in there.
So I noticed the ASHI standard is now talking about carbon monoxide detectors also.
Yes, in places where there's an opportunity for those gases to occur.